Welcome to Ring the Damn Bell. We are going to be recapping the Royal Rumble from last night. And man, there was a lot of action, but there was also some things happening behind the scenes that we could talk about it for a moment. The first thing is, it's been reported that Cody Rhodes is dealing with multiple injuries due to that match he had with KO. The match was pretty brutal. This is per NBC Sports. Cody Rhodes successfully defended his title against Kevin Owens in a high risk ladder match, but it came at a cost. Reports confirm that Rhodes is dealing with multiple injuries, severe enough to keep him from addressing the media after the event. However, despite speculation about his in ring status, Rhodes is expected to appear on this week's episode of SmackDown. WWE has yet to disclose the full extent of his injuries. There is speculation that Cody will not be able to get into the ring and may have to relinquish the WWE title, leaving WWE to move forward with a plan B for WrestleMania. Again, this is per NBC Sports. And before we talk about this, let me say this because I'm starting to get DMs from these wrestling fans about things. Look, anytime I report on the news, this ain't shit that I'm making up. I am just reporting what the fuck is out there. Can this be a storyline? Can this be WWE trying to swerve us to add on to the storyline heading to WrestleMania? Absolutely yes. So none of you dipshits need to tell me these type of things. We are already aware of this. The wrestling fans, not all wrestling fans, but there are some wrestling fans out there that are just fucking pathetic, want to be, think they know it all, pieces of fucking crap. There really is. I can't tell you how many posts I've seen from so-called AEW wrestling fans talking about how the winner of last night's Men's Royal Rumble, Jey Uso, was the worst thing WWE could have ever done. So first, let me say this: if you think WWE is just that fucking bad, why are you watching the product? And it goes the same for some WWE fans as well. I'm not just saying that this is only quote unquote AEW fans, because it's on both sides. And I really don't consider you guys real wrestling fans, because if you were real wrestling fans, then you would enjoy and be thankful for all the wrestling product there is out there to watch. Because whenever I was growing up, whenever Mark was growing up, guess what? There was very little wrestling for us to watch. Maybe once or twice a week. Now, almost every day of the week, there's wrestling out there. So, how about you shut the fuck up, stop bitching, and just enjoy the wrestling product that's out there for everybody to watch? All right, got that off of my plate. Mark, um, look, we both watched this match last night that we're going to talk about, and it was truly a brutal match. It really was. That KO power bomb that he did with KO on that ladder, you know, if you caught it, Cody Rhodes didn't hit that ladder. He hit the edge of that ladder and went down. That's when all of the trainers and doctors ran to the ring to check on Cody at that point because it was nasty. Again, can this be a storyline? Yes. Do I personally think it's a storyline? I just don't, because of how brutal that match was. I can believe that they both were injured, and we'll talk about KO in a second. What is your take on Cody Rhodes' injuries?
You know, I don't think it's a work either. I think Cody Rhodes, I mean, you saw him wrestle with a torn pectoral muscle. You can't really fake, I mean, you could probably, but Cody Rhodes is definitely old school where he will wrestle with a broken foot, broken ankle. He don't give a shit. He'll wrestle. The show will go on. Cody doesn't care. Cody doesn't have enough, um, well, he's streamlined. He doesn't have enough to protect him. His old man had enough blubber to, you know.
Yeah,
You know, you can say what you want, but fat is a protector. You know, the way it looked though, it looked like Kevin Owens got the worst of it because he was almost carried out, and
Yeah.
that just looked brutal.
Yep. And we'll talk about KO in a second. You know, the biggest thing that makes me believe that this is reality, that Cody was really hurt, was the fact that Cody missed the media after Royal Rumble. This isn't something that Cody would normally do. And it's not because Cody just loves out that kitchen. Cody loves professional wrestling. He loves the wrestling fans out there. And he knows that there will be a lot of questions that he indeed would have wanted to answer himself, addressing the wrestling fans and, you know, put out whatever there was that he wanted to put out. So the fact that he missed that really led me to believe that this is actually something that is legit.
I don't know
But
that to the story of being at work though too.
it could. And again, I am not saying that I know 100% that this is not a work, because I am not part of WWE Creative. And as we seen last night, and we'll talk about it, Triple H has been doing a pretty good job of keeping things secret that he wants to keep secret. And again, we'll talk about that in a few. But talk about Kevin Owens. Um, there again, NBC Sports. Kevin Owens' bloody battle raises concerns. Kevin Owens was left in a horrific state following his match against Rhodes, with deep cuts on his face and a terrifying moment where he was caught between a ladder rung. His Now let me stop right here for a second. That didn't It looked terrible, but that didn't give me immediate concern, because we've seen this a few times with those ladder matches, and these guys are just that damn good to protect one another, to pull off something like that. But it did look pretty nasty, I'm not gonna lie. His forehead and nose were visibly affected, leading to widespread concerns among fans. Though he finished the match, Owens' condition has sparked speculation about his recovery timeline, adding to the uncertainties. Also, Owens' WWE contract is rumored to be expiring soon, leaving fans wondering about his long-term future with the company. Look, I don't particularly know why they added his contract coming up soon to this update about KO being injured, unless this could be again a storyline leading to the speculation of his contract possibly not being signed by KO because of his dissatisfaction with WWE as part of a storyline. Again, I'm not saying it's a storyline. We know it was a brutal match last night. KO, he walked out of the match after it was done, but he did need help from a couple of people. Again, the match was brutal, so there's no reason for me to wonder if it is indeed true about him being injured.
You know, it was just, you know, you can have these ladder matches, but, you know, you can try to protect yourself as best as possible, but you cannot predict where that person's exactly going to land on that ladder, you know, or jumping off a ladder. How many guys have broken their foot or ankles or legs jumping off second turnbuckles or third turnbuckles, you know, and then you add a ladder into this, you know, I don't know. These guys better get paid extra money for this kind of
Yeah,
crap.
and but here's a question though, uh, that I actually talked about with someone last night. Um, Being that Cody Rhodes is such an important part of WrestleMania coming up, he has the title. Um, I although I love ladder matches, it makes me a little curious about why would Cody Rhodes be put in a ladder match this close to WrestleMania, knowing how dangerous these matches are. Yes, all matches are dangerous within professional wrestling, and there are other dangerous gimmick matches, stage matches, hell in a cell matches. But the ladder match is a little bit different in the fact that you have to climb up this ladder to get whatever's up there for you to win, leaving you exposed to the ladder being pushed down with you on it, leaving you exposed to these ladders being used as weapons as they are. Do you think that maybe it is a it that maybe they didn't think this through when putting together a dangerous gimmick match like this close to WrestleMania with one of their most important wrestlers being involved in WrestleMania?
I think they're trying to satisfy two storylines outside of the world title match that will affect the title match. One being John Cena claiming his 17th, which he announced at the press conference that he is going to get a 17th title, world title. And I don't doubt that he will. He will. And also it'll appease CM Punk main eventing WrestleMania. So that's
Yeah,
my.
but that doesn't really answer the question about the ladder match. Why would they put together such a dangerous gimmick match this close to WrestleMania with one of the most important characters within WrestleMania? I mean, look, they could have had a cage match. There are many different type of gimmick matches that they could have had that wouldn't have been as dangerous, in my opinion, as this ladder match.
I don't know. Ask Drew McIntyre. He took what 17 staples last cage match he was in. Again,
Yeah, but
this
that was different in the fact that they chose it was so with cage matches, these wrestlers choose whether or not they're going to bring in these dangerous weapons or whether or not they're going to climb up the cage and jump off. In a ladder match, you have to climb up these ladders. And yeah, I guess you could use these guys can choose what spots they use using these ladders. But I don't know. It just seems like ladder matches are probably the most dangerous out of all gimmick matches.
okay. So if Cody has to relinquish the belt, he doesn't lose face. Okay. And again, it opens up for Punk and Cena to main event WrestleMania each night. All right. Um, God, there's somewhere else I was going with this, but I can't remember.
But let me ask you this, Mark. You mentioned, but this would be the problem. And guys, we won't spend a whole podcast on this. Me and Mark just likes to talk about this stuff because we're truly passionate wrestling fans. But this leaves the problem. CM Punk, say that John Cena does indeed win the Elimination Chamber, and that's how he gets his way into the Royal Rumble. I have a feeling that if Cody Rhodes does have to relinquish the title, what they're going to do is instead of the winner of the elimination match being able to go to WrestleMania to wrestle the champion, it's going to change to whoever wins it will become the new champion. But here's the problem. How are they going to pick the number one contender to go to WrestleMania to fight John Cena or whoever else? If it's not John Cena, whoever else may win that match and become the world champion. They're going to have some type of a match to pick who's going to go to WrestleMania
or a tournament.
Or a tournament. Now, we talked about this last night. My suggestion was at the Elimination Chamber match, yes, they move forward. Whoever wins the Elimination Chamber becomes the world champion. But at that same PLE, they also have some type of another battle royal or some type of a tournament to also decide who's going to go to WrestleMania.
Yeah, it's possible.
But look, we can speculate all day long. The fact of the matter, though, is we won't find out until Friday what's going to happen with Cody Rhodes. Also, right. I Show Speed. Of course, he was picked to go to replace Kawasaki. I think that's his name. To go in his place to get into the Royal Rumble match, and of course, Brian Breaker pretty much speared his soul right out of his body. He then eliminated him. Otis caught him and then tossed him over the announcer's table. There are pictures and videos showing a very nasty wound on his leg because of that. And I checked it out, and oh man, it there's an entire layer of skin that's just flipped over from that. It looked really gnarly. Then this is where the drama is. Drew McIntyre, the Wrestling Observer, and PW Insider reported something went wrong with Drew McIntyre's elimination in the men's Royal Rumble match. McIntyre entered at number 17 and was in the match for more than a half an hour. He was taken out by Damian Priest in a muddle elimination, and reportedly stormed off, cursing, and left the stadium before the show even ended. Dave Meltzer, let me stop here. I do not put a whole lot of faith in what Dave Meltzer says, but because of that, I also went and did a little bit of research to some other credible sites that reports on wrestling news. But I will tell you what Dave Meltzer commented on. This was said on Wrestler Observer Radio. There's a guy that a lot of people were pissed at in the match with the idea that he was trying to get himself over and not the match over, and he was doing things. I don't want to mention his name. It'll probably come out tomorrow because it's only one person telling me the name, but it's multiple people telling me that the Drew thing, he wasn't happy. It's not an angle. If they end up doing an angle with the person later, which there's no hint of anything, way to cover your ass, Dave Meltzer, by saying, oh, well, there's not an angle, but if they do an angle, blah, blah, blah. A WWE source confirmed to the takedown on several people were upset with the spot going wrong, and though declined to mention who it was they were mad at. Just as McIntyre was about to go out, Logan Paul had hit several moves and was gloating to the camera. LA Knight was standing behind him, ready to attack, which was when Priest snuck up on McIntyre and eliminated him while he was attempting to throw out. And of course, eventually the winner went on to Jey Uso. This is all Fightful Select. The source made clear to take down the incident was not part of an angle at the time it occurred. Drew McIntyre was reportedly unhappy that something that happened turned the Royal Rumble match, so much so that he said to have stormed out of the building. Mike Johnson of PW Insider reported that something went wrong with Drew McIntyre's elimination from the Royal Rumble match. He said to have been screaming and cursing when he got to the back, and he was saying that someone had to get their moves in at the expense of multiple stories in the match. The former WWE champion loudly stormed out, per Johnson, and he had left before the end of the match. Again, this was per Wrestling Insider. I have Fightful Select that I also got it from, and then of course Wrestling Observer, which is Dave Meltzer, and there are a shit ton other wrestling sources out there that's basically saying the same thing. So, was this a work or was this a shoot? I don't know.
You know, it's funny because Drew's on Monday Night Raw and Damien's now on SmackDown. So, what's the point?
Exactly. And that's what I was going to go to next. So, I do believe that there is some type of heat between Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre. Why would Damian Priest do this? I don't know. Maybe they don't like each other. Maybe they had words before the Royal Rumble. But this is the thing. And this is what it all boils down to, Mark. I understand Drew McIntyre being upset, but at the same time, him throwing a temper tantrum, if this indeed is something that's legit, makes me lose a little bit of respect because it's not like he was going to win to begin with. Right? That just means that he was thrown out sooner than what he was supposed to, but who fucking cares? You know who went over? It was Uso that won. So this to me is about fucking ego. And I'm not letting Damian Priest off the hook because if he went into business himself as well, this is about ego on his part. So honestly, that makes me lose a little bit of respect for both of them.
Right. So you're not gonna if you're not slated to win, does it really matter when you get eliminated? No, not really.
Right. And look, I can understand if Drew McIntyre being fucking just pissed off. If it was some pathetic loser like Joe Hendry that did it, a non WWE guy, a guy who shouldn't even be wearing a fucking belt to begin with, a guy who looks like he walked straight the fuck out of fucking Home Depot as a worker, I can understand Drew being mad because of that. But look, he got eliminated by a guy, Damian Priest, who is on the same level, in my opinion, as Drew McIntyre. So
Right. No, it just makes Drew look like a, for lack of a term, big baby.
it does. Now to the show, I really enjoyed Royal Rumble this year. There were a few things, for instance, and this is also has been all over the internet. The botch that Penta, both feet was clearly down. I watched the video over and over 5 or 6 times. His feet were down. They didn't call it. Why they didn't call it, I don't know. But he's not the first guy to have an accidental botch during the Royal Rumble. I will say this though, being that this was such an obvious spot where you could obviously see both of his feet get, and on top of it, Pat McAfee didn't make it any better by saying we need a replay, and then WWE not doing a replay of it. But did it ruin the Royal Rumble for me and for many other people? I can safely say no, it fucking did not. Get over it, people.
No, but you know what ruined it for me? Michael Cole and and his obvious botch of saying he was talking about Damian Priest, but he says, "Yeah, you know who cashed in on Drew McIntyre? Drew McIntyre." And he meant to say Damian Priest, but I'm like, Jesus Christ, Michael. And I understand the excitement, and Michael Cole does get excited. I understand the excitement, and would I make plenty of verbal botches? Pfft, without a doubt. But Michael Cole's been doing this for 20 plus years.
And we're not making the money he is.
Huh?
And we're not making the money he is.
Right, right, right.
But you know what? In Michael Cole's defense, and I don't know if this happened, but this could have been a botch by someone in the group position saying, hey, let's mention that Damian Priest eliminated Damian Priest, and just for muscle memory, he repeated it. But I do agree that being that he's been doing this as long as he has, he should have caught it. But let's not make any mistake about it. At least in my opinion, Michael Cole is one of the greats at this job. He absolutely is, Bart. Because look, let me tell you why. I challenge you. Wait. I challenge you to go listen to Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard, and listen to what JBL had to say. And I didn't know this, when you're in the commentary's position, you're not just doing commentary. You have a shit ton of stuff that you're doing at the same time. It is a very, very difficult position. This is why Mick Foley said he couldn't do it, because he wasn't organized to do it. So it's easy to say that Michael Cole is not one of the greatest, not doing the things that he has done. JBL has talked about how great Michael Cole is, and he's given the reasons why. And JBL knows, because he worked in that position for many years with Michael Cole. Not to mention, Michael Cole had to basically fill in the shoes of JR, who is one of the greatest announcers in wrestling history. And he had to fill that spot. That's a big spot to fill. And, I think Michael Cole does a great job. I really enjoy the banter between Michael Cole and Pat McAfee.
I'll give you that. Pat brings out a lot, Michael. I'll give you that. All right. But to utter Michael Cole's name and JR in the same breath is utter blasphemy. Utter blasphemy.
I said that he had big shoes to fill of JR's. I don't think anybody's going to be as good as JR was. but I would be hard pressed to say that someone's going to be as good as Michael Cole is.
Oh no, there's nothing about Michael Cole that I enjoy, But again, I will give him props with Pat McAfee there. He does elevate Michael, more so than anybody I've seen in a long time. But Michael Cole as a commentator, I think anybody's better. Taz, Chris Jericho,
That's crazy.
I think anybody's almost better than Michael Cole.
Well, you know what?
Michael Cole has got there because of longevity. That's why. And that's why people are giving him his props, because he's done it so long. Well, he's done it so long because he's got his head up somebody's ass.
I doubt. I disagree. But you know what? This is why I put your ass outside in the freezing cold weather and I'm inside, all right?
Yeah, well, you ain't even got your camera on, so shut up.
My camera is on.
I don't have it on.
That's weird because Bob couldn't see my camera the other day either. Nope, my camera's on.
Oh well, it's not showing on my end, but that's fine. All
right, let's get back. I wish I could see your ugly ass on my end. So. Anyway, let's get to it. Let's get to the Royal Rumble. Turn your fucking camera on, asshole. The very first match we started with the women's Royal Rumble. The big surprise was Alexa Bliss, which it's funny because it goes right back to why I say that I am only the reporter. I'm not the one that's reporting or making this shit up. Things could be a shoot, they could be storyline. We don't actually know until we know. Because it was all over that Alexa Bliss and WWE could not come to an understanding with her contract. So the negotiations had stopped. Now, I have said multiple times on the podcast, when I reported this, that I wouldn't put it past WWE for this to be a storyline, though. And obviously, now it could have been a mix of a storyline and a shoot. Maybe they couldn't come up to an agreement up until the last minute. But nonetheless, she was the big surprise for the Women's Royal Rumble. There were a couple of NXT women, the NXT champion, I believe, who showed up. But she was the major surprise.
Yes, she was. Jordan Grace looked not even like herself.
Yeah, she got WWE-nized.
Yep, she did.
Now, it's been reported that, and I'm going to have to go back to watch it because I didn't notice, but I guess Alexa Bliss actually came out with her, when she came out to go out to the ring, that she paid tribute to Bray Wyatt, but WWE cut that. They didn't allow her to show it. Not sure why that would be the case, but I have to go back to watch that. Well, obviously, if they cut it, then I can't go back to watch it, but that's being reported that happened.
No, I saw a clip of it. I think it said Brave or something.
Yeah, the back of her jacket said Fiend with an R kind of at the top of it that was red. That spelled, that made it say friend. Why do you, and obviously this is just speculation, but why would WWE not allow her to pay tribute?
I don't know. I don't understand that. And as far as Alexa Bliss's contract goes, this could have been a one-off deal too.
It could have been, because I was really surprised that she wasn't one of the last 3 women in the match.
That's why I think it's a one-off.
Yeah, that could very well be. Now, of course, no surprise that Charlotte Flair showed up. And, and this is why I look, the women's Royal match, these women did a great job. The one reason why I prefer the men versus the women was because there was zero doubt in my mind that Charlotte Flair was going to win this. Whereas the men, yeah, we thought that it was going to be between John Cena and CM Punk, but there was still that doubt, just because it was such a stacked Royal Rumble match in the men's division. No one could really say for sure if it was going to be Cena or Punk. So because of that, because of that, this is why I prefer the men's over the women. But the women were still good.
And nobody expected Jey Uso to win. Nobody.
No, absolutely not. And we'll get to that. What did you think overall Royal Rumble women's match?
You know what? I Lash Legend showed a lot last night. Somebody else showed a lot last night too. Who was it? Oh, Ivy Niles at first showed a lot. I was surprised she got eliminated by Maxine Dupree. Shayna Baszler looked good. But yeah, there were a handful of women that were a standout in this match last night that really I got to give them props. And to be honest, I enjoyed it almost as much as the men's.
Yeah, and look, there's a lot of people hating on Charlotte Flair right now, and like Ric Flair often said, her father, like it or love it, learn to live with it. There's a reason why Charlotte Flair's at where she's at. I think that she looked absolutely amazing last night. She was in the best shape I've ever seen her in, and I think she did a good job, at the Royal Rumble, in the match. No surprise, though, Charlotte Flair is going to go on to main event one of the nights. Who do you think that she's going to pick? I am thinking it's going to be Rhea Ripley, just because Rhea Ripley was the one that took the title off of her to begin with, sending her packing.
The only thing I have with Charlotte Flair is they're going to make her tie her dad's record in half the time. That's the only thing I got against Charlotte Flair. You can't diminish Ric Flair's track record by having somebody do the same thing in half the time. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I agree and disagree. The reason why I disagree is because if this was the men's division, I think I'd have more of an issue with it. But because it's the women's division, for some reason, I'm able to separate it that this is more of a record she's setting for the women's division instead of that men's division.
Yeah,
I
but
don't know.
still,
It's just different.
if it was somebody else and not Ric Flair's daughter, I might be able to accept it. But the fact that they're going to have Charlotte do it, and they are going to have Charlotte do it.
Yeah, yeah.
I just don't care for it. Ric Flair had, barring his last match, which was a joke, a 30, 40-year career.
Right.
Yeah. And have Charlotte do it in 15 years, 17 years. No, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
Oh, I have a bigger issue though. My issue is that I have little doubt that Flair is going to beat Rhea Ripley for the title at WrestleMania. My issue with that is that means that in many ways you can look at Rhea Ripley's title run as being a what's the word I'm looking for?
Oh,
starts with a T coming to me.
oh,
Her title run isn't going to be very important. She was basically a placeholder for Charlotte Flair. And I have transitional. That's it. Yeah. Was that?
I've only said it 3 times.
Well, dude, you got to remember, whenever I'm talking and you try to speak, I can't hear you.
Right, but I went for a break.
Yeah. So, she's going to be a transitional champion, and I have an issue with that because Rhea Ripley is much better than that. And on top of it, she lost the title the last time, not because someone beat her, but because of a fucking injury. So you've not allowed Rhea Ripley to have this long title run that she deserves.
Yeah, but you could go after Tiffany. I mean, you're talking, one generation versus the next, really.
Yeah, I don't know. But
we've already seen Flair versus Rhea. We haven't seen Flair versus Tiffany.
Yeah, but they're not gonna. I would bet money that's gonna be Flair versus Rhea Ripley.
Oh yeah, it could be. I'm not gonna.
Now, if that is the case, then at the women's elimination chamber match, who would you say, or who would you predict is going to win that to go after Tiffany?
It's hard to say because I don't even know who's in it yet.
It's going to be same main people.
Oh, you know what? I would think maybe, and to be surprised, I was surprised Jay Cargill didn't show up last night.
Yeah, I was too.
Along with AJ Lee and Mickey James. But you're talking Naomi, you're talking Bailey, you're talking Bianca, you're talking one of the girls from Purple Poison or whatever the hell it is. It's tough. I'd probably just have to say Bianca, but they'd have to lose the tag titles to get that going.
Yeah, it would make sense in a way if it was. I don't know. I was gonna say Bianca, but I don't know. That's something to really think about. Oh, I would like it to be something fresh, and going back to Charlotte Flair, I would prefer if Charlotte fought Tiffany.
I would too, to be honest.
But that would also mean that Tiffany would be that transitional champ to drop the title against
Yeah,
Charlotte
but
Flair.
long career in front of her, barring injuries. She's
Yeah,
only what 6'28" maybe.
yeah,
So she could afford to lose a title and come back and get it another time. You
yeah,
know.
yeah.
So I'd rather see Charlotte versus Tiffany just because we haven't seen it before, to be honest. And
Yeah.
I think Tiffany's got enough chops to actually pull it off with Flair. We all know Ripley does.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it'd be a true testament to Tiffany, to be honest.
So that was the women's Royal Rumble match. Now we went to the tag team match between DIY and Motor City Machine Guns. And let me tell you, I wasn't very impressed with this match. I thought this match was basically a space filler.
I didn't even catch the first pin by DIY.
Yeah, well, see, but Mark, this is my problem with this. How many times do we see these wrestlers kick out of another wrestler's finisher, right? Multiple times, all these false finishes. But yet, the first finish last night with DIY pinning Motor City Machine Guns was because of a fucking knee to the face. I'm like, are you kidding me? And then it was the same thing that happened with Motor Machine Guns and DIY. I can't remember what move it was, but it wasn't a finisher. It was a basic move that left DIY down for Motor Machine Guns to get the pin. I hate this inconsistency bullshit.
Yeah, but it's no different than a quick roll up pin, that you didn't expect.
But you know what? I think a roll up pin is different than a knee to the face, but someone's going to kick out a 5 freaking finisher move. I don't know. It just kind of rubs me the wrong way a little bit. But ultimately, because of interference from, this is why you're supposed to be, the Street Profits, it cost the Motor Machine Guns the titles. But then after the match, the Street Profits attacked DIY. Now, this is where Michael Cole, where it was stupid. We all just witnessed this, correct? Nobody knows why the Street Profits would do this. But then Michael Cole, who just witnessed this as well, comes up with the whole scenario and explains it. That kind of left me scratching my head as being a little silly. It's like, how would you know, Michael Cole, if you're just seeing this as well, unless you're in on it, right? But he explained that it's because the Street Profits wants to face DIY for the titles instead of Motor Machine Guns.
Because Street Profits were supposed to face Motor City Machine Guns in a title match, and they got knocked out for some reason, and DIY took that match over and won the match. That's why.
I get that. But at the same time, it should have left the question of why would they attack Motor Machine Guns and then attack DIY instead of explaining it on Raw. They let Michael Cole pretty much put out the whole scenario right away of the why. I didn't like the way they delivered.
It's what are you studying? Common Core math? it's pretty basic. They want
It
to get
doesn't matter if it's pretty basic or not. The fact that they attacked both of them, the reason why they had them attack both of them was to kind of leave that question mark of why would you attack both, especially since they're supposed to be baby faces.
They're not baby faces though.
Street Profits, they absolutely have been baby faces.
No, they're not. They haven't been baby faces since they joined up with Bobby Lashley. And yeah, Bobby Lashley left, but they're still heels.
They've been playing over that baby face. Nonetheless, they should have let that go until Raw. I think Michael Cole explaining it seemed a little silly to me. It should have came directly from the Street Profits. I think it would have been a good promo, and as well as it would really have laid down the final bricks to the pathway of the storyline that they're going to go, obviously, with all three of them. This is going to end up being in a three-way tag team match for the title.
I don't know. See, I tuned out Michael Cole, so I didn't really hear the explanation. So,
yep. The next match after was KO and Cody Rhodes, and this was, as we said, a brutal match.
Yes, it was, and we've already covered most of that. So,
yep. Cody Rhodes ends up winning the match. Both of them has been injured apparently, but yeah, like I said, this was a brutal match with some brutal spots. I like the match. I don't think that they could have done a better job.
Getting back to that real quick, with Cody being the corporate guy that they want him to be, who are the two guys that could step up and fill that role? John Cena easily, and CM Punk.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Now I will say that we've seen shades of a heel Cody Rhodes last night when he snapped at one point during the match. Again, shades of a heel Cody Rhodes. So I think they're definitely still leaving those breadcrumbs and planting the seed of a heel Cody Rhodes here at some point. It's also being reported that Cody Rhodes did break character after the match when he jumped on the announcer's table. Although it seemed like he was kind of celebrating to shove it in KO's face, it has been reported that Cody Rhodes was actually checking on KO, and that's why he jumped on the announcer's table to make sure that he was okay. But the next match, the men's Royal Rumble, man, there was a lot happening within this Royal Rumble. This was a great Royal Rumble. Logan Paul coming in, just the people just booing him. I always smile when he gets all the hate. One thing that left me curious about the WWE fans, though, when Andrade came out, to hear pin drop, no cheers, no boos. I would prefer people boo him than for them to be silent. And I still cannot get it. I don't know if it's the language barrier within his promos. Don't know.
Who made a good showing last night? Really, Santos Escobar.
Yeah.
And Andrade, you know what? I hope Aleister Black comes back and him and Andrade team up. I really think they'd be phenomenal together. They are two phenomenal talents, and they belong together, to be honest. Andrade is an unsung hero. He is second to none as far as ability. He needs to have Ric Flair show him the figure four and utilize that. He really does.
He was using the figure 8 in AEW.
Yeah.
For his finisher. I think that maybe a big thing that would help him is I said Selena Vega is back on SmackDown. I wouldn't hate it if they put those two back together, because she could deliver decent promos, and that would help with Andrade not needing to really speak all that much. So I wouldn't hate it if they went that route. Because I was surprised that Aleister Black didn't make a showing last night, so I don't know what's going on with him.
Yeah, well, he could show up on Monday because remember, Monday Night Raw is usually pretty big after the Royal Rumble. There's usually some surprises on Monday Night Raw. And it's usually people get promoted from NXT at this point, but there's usually surprises after the Royal Rumble on Raw.
Yeah, but let's not forget if Aleister Black was going to show up to team with Andrade, as you said, then he would have to wait to show up on SmackDown because that's where Andrade's at.
Well, either or. So,
Yep.
I think Aleister Black, if he's got a 90-day contract hold, he might still be in that 90-day hold.
Yeah, well, it was being reported that he wasn't and that his contract ended on February 1st. That's why it was a big expectation that he would show up. But he didn't. We'll know soon enough if he's coming back to WWE. Of course, the big news and the big shocker with the men's Royal Rumble was Jey Uso winning it. I tell you, I liked it. I always love when they can surprise me, when they can swerve me. Now, unfortunately, I just don't think that if Cody Rhodes is able to wrestle at WrestleMania, or frankly, whoever has the title at that point at WrestleMania, I don't see Uso winning the title.
No.
I think it'll be a good match. I think that he'll get his WrestleMania moment being in the main event. I think the crowds will go berserk when he comes out. But I don't think that he's going to win it.
Here's another thought, too. All right. Because there's a long-standing history between these two. John Cena and CM Punk at WrestleMania. It's edified Punk being a main eventer, but not necessarily winning the belt. And the other thing is, do you think a tournament from here till WrestleMania to determine a champion is too long of a tournament?
I think that instead of to determine the champion, it should probably be a tournament to with the winner being the number one contender to go on to WrestleMania. I think they should leave it as the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. Whoever wins that, they get the title. That's if, of course, Cody has to relinquish the title.
Well, here's the thing, though. If you go 30 days, Cody's got 30 days to defend his title. All right, that takes us into March. All right, well, April's WrestleMania, so you can go March to April, have the tournament, and the finals being WrestleMania.
Now, maybe that whole 30-day rule is such garbage because they have gone longer than that without the title being defended. Although, what WWE will say is, well, the title has been defended at live events; it wasn't televised. But yeah, the whole 30 thing is jokeable. I don't know. It's all speculation on how they would do it. As far as we know, WWE has always had a plan B just in case something happens.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
that's true.
Who knows? Regardless, I think that it's going to be very interesting the next couple of months before WrestleMania, to the road to WrestleMania, on the road to WrestleMania within WWE. I'm excited about it. I really am.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, that pretty much wraps up the recap for Royal Rumble. Again, I don't give this grade very often, but I would give it a minus.
I got to go with B plus.
Yeah, the reason why I say a minus, although there's been other botches before, this botch with Penta was so obvious that I think they should have just called it. Because again, it's not like Penta was going to win it. I understand they wanted Penta to be in there for quite a while. He's there for 25 minutes. That kind of built him up as a guy who can really go, being in the Royal Rumble for that long. I understand why, but I still think they should have just called it. But whatever. I don't think it really, made any difference whatsoever within that match.
I give it a B plus because I didn't see much surprises as far as the men's or the women's. Usually there's 2 or 3 entrants that are, a shocker. I mean, the best one that comes to mind is Edge returning. I mean, that was the biggest shock I'd seen in years. The other thing that I noticed was they were bringing up names that are working for AEW. They brought up Ricochet and they brought up somebody else that are currently working for AEW. I was surprised they brought them people up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
True.
overall, good
Yeah.
people.
One other thing I just cannot wrap my head around why people love Joe Hendry so much. I think it's terrible. Don't get it. That's just my opinion. People have the right to like who they like. I can't stand the guy, and I am so glad that he basically was made out to look like a fucking weak joke in the Royal Rumble last night.
He's just infectious, I think. His song is just catchy and likable, and Joe Henry is just kind of a likable guy. Does he look like he works at Lowe's? Yes, he does. But I enjoy him. I don't know what it is. I enjoy him.
That's all. You know what? You just nailed it. All Joe Hendry is a fucking song. That's it.
If that's your claim to fame and you're still getting a paycheck for it, good for him.
And I get it. People have a right. I'm not saying that people should like him. I'm saying that I think he's terrible.
He doesn't float your boat.
Not at all whatsoever. And to have a fucking the world belt title around him is absurd. Mark, you know what? You froze, so this is a good time to go ahead and wrap it up. That was Royal Rumble, guys. Don't forget, tomorrow I will be having the Royal Hawaiian, one of the original Glow Girls on the podcast. I will be dropping that tomorrow night. And then, of course, on Tuesday, we'll be back with Bob Cook to do a recap of Monday Night Raw. Will there be surprises on Monday Night Raw? Will we be shocked? What's going to happen? We'll talk about it on Tuesday. Until then, guys, Mark, what you got?
Ring the damn bell.
Ring the damn bell, everybody. We'll see you guys on Tuesday.